Please welcome to the TEDxSonomaCounty stage, Michael Muller.
Good afternoon. I don't know what has my heart racing more, speaking in front of all of you or that bit of music right there. I don't know another piece of music that gets the collective consciousness to one perspective than that piece of music. It had a huge impact on my life, that one movie. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. I saw it. I was scared to go in my pool. I literally thought a shark was coming out of the light in my pool. You know, this is what I think of. This is my belief from that one movie and, news and everything else. This perception of a man-eating killer beast that lives in the ocean. And if you like the ocean like I do, and if you surf like I do, that had a huge impact on my life. I had this idea and this belief that there was this monster out there. So every time I went in the ocean, back in my mind, am I going to get it this time? What amazes me is how powerful the medium is, and what a belief can do and how it can affect you. It can, affect you emotionally and physically. And, for me, seeing this and thinking of that every time I got in the water was a huge thing for me. So I've always had a bit of what's the word? Thrill or a dare in me. I've always sort of grabbed life by the horns, and as a photographer, we can distort images, we use light, we use all these things, and we can also bring to light things. I want you to look at the eyes of this thing, because this shark, you see that it's like soulless, right? Swim. You see a shark, what do? Get away from it, right? So this is what drove me for the first 35 years of my life. And for me perception is an idea and a belief that I'm actually part of, right? Because you're part of this belief. So in order to, face this and to change it, you have to go out and you have to be part of it. So, I said, I want to go see a great white shark. I want to see one of these things. I want to face this fear of mine, So, my wife heard me and beat me to the punch and got me a trip to go swim with great white sharks. I was wondering why she took out a $12 million life insurance policy right before, but hey, And she won't let me ride motorcycles. Go figure. So I went and I got in the cage, and I did what, I took the 20-hour boat ride out there, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was like 6 in the morning. It's the first one in the cage, and this shark swam by me. And I saw its eyes, and it saw me, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. And it was like, I see you, and you see me, and everything started to melt away. Those other photos didn't show what you see when you're down there with them. When they swim by, it's like a person swimming by you. They look you right in the eye. And you're like, oh my gosh. And that's when I really set out on a course to be like, wow, all these preconceived ideas, everything that movie impacted me with started to fall away. My belief system started to change. And it didn't change overnight. It took some time, I went right from there, my belief of sharks, or my view of sharks, went from that, gnashing teeth to this smiling shark. It did. I mean, it did. I was like, okay, they're like little puppies swimming by. So, and on that first dive, I was hanging out of the cage by my waist. Like, I was literally hanging out. And I had this desire in me. I was like, I want to swim with that shark. Like, I want to be out there with it. I mean, it was like the opposite of going to the zoo, because I'm in the cage and it's swimming by me, looking at me. It's actually pretty funny when you're in a cage looking at an animal. Like, yeah. So I went from that trip, and I went to the Galapagos. I spent 2 weeks on sea, and on the roof of that boat, that was where I got educated. I was so naive. I didn't know. I didn't know we were killing 100 million sharks every year. Because people always ask me, aren't you afraid of them? I'm like, how many do you think they're killing of us? 5. How many do you think we're killing of them? 100 million. And I was on the top of the boat, and I had this fulfillment. I'm like, my perception and was that of what everyone thinks of sharks. So maybe I can use my gift and go out and sort of show you guys a shark the way that you've never seen before, and light it up. So I had invented these lights, and I was like, if you see a shark coming out of light, you'd probably be like, whoa, is that real? And that's what I did. I spent the next 10 years going around and getting sharks swimming in light and in a way people had never seen before. All to go out to try to change people's perceptions. Excuse me. One of the things that I'd seen was a great white breaching. When you see a great white breaching, they jump out of the water, they're hunting a seal. So I was like, oh, how cool would it be to go out and put my strobe lights on it? So I went to Africa 2 times. And when I was there, I was like, and the one thing that's beautiful about being a human being is we have imagination. So we can challenge those beliefs with our imagination. I was like, I wonder if that thing breaches at nighttime. No one had ever seen it. We didn't even know if they did it. But sure enough, on the last dive, I was able to capture a great white breaching at night, which is, once again, a new perception, something that had never been seen before, and it was really exciting to capture. I also went out to, how do you change people's perceptions? How do I get you to see these animals the same way I do? I mean, it's a bit of a challenge. So, I went and I put around posters of a shark, that shark smiling. No hashtags and no .com, just a smiling shark. So when you would drive by, you'd see this smiling shark. I had to get my family on board, my wife, that wife that sent me on the trip. She came out in the whole boat ride. She was crying, literally tears out of her eyes. We're going to get eaten by a shark. I can't believe it. We're so irresponsible. 18 hours hearing that. Second dive, she's out of the cage, and I thought she was going to jump on the back of the shark and swim away. So that's how fast your belief system can change when you get part of life, when you inject yourself into it. So if you just believe someone else's perception, someone else's story, you're gonna think the same thing. So I set out on a course because I had that desire. I wanted to swim with that shark. So I spent 10 years swimming with all types of sharks, 7-gill, white tips in Bahamas, hundreds of blue sharks, like hundreds swimming around you. Bull sharks, which have the highest testosterone on the planet, just like a tornado coming at me. And it was like the Matrix, like I was like Neo, like pushing them off. I mean, those sharks are like right there. Big 16-foot tiger sharks. And they're all different. They're like people. Every shark has a different personality, different demeanor. Some of them are nice. I'm not kidding. Some of them are a little feisty. They're like my kids. Whale sharks, hundreds of hammerheads, learning, getting that experience, getting comfortable. And like I said, they're like kids. We tickle and pet some, and some you got to sort of like get to bed, get off of me. All to get to that experience that I wanted when I first saw that shark, which was to get out and to really, not only face my fears, but completely rewire, because great whites are just different than any other sharks. So I went out in a self-propelled submersible cage. And then, the time came when you're sitting there in, the cinema cage, and you're like, okay, am I going to do this? Am I going to leave the safety and go and interject myself with this animal? But at that point in my life, after spending, 7, 8 years with these animals, I knew that I was going to be okay. I knew that I was going to be safe. So I ventured outside the cage. One thing with great whites, as you see my head, I'm looking all around. It's not that shark. Great whites are ambush predators. So it's not the 15-foot that you're swimming with, it's the one underneath you. So it's a constant vigilance that you have to have. And it's like, Alex Honnold who climbs, Yosemite with no ropes. You can't make a mistake. And I'm not a fool up here. I know this animal is it is nature's perfection of killing machine. That's all it does is eat and swim and eat. I mean, you know what I mean? So to this point, my mission and my passion, and I really love the ocean and I love these animals, is to have my daughter have a different perception, a different view of these animals than I did. And she's seen Jaws and she laughs at it because she's seen the real sharks. She's done 3 shark dives. And this next generation, when I looked around, I was like, I don't know if my kids are going to be able to see these animals that I'm swimming with in 15 years. And I'm going to document them, but I really, at the rate we're going, our oceans are being decimated. And to see my little, monkey out there getting to enjoy it, it was, it's a blessing, but I don't want our oceans to end up like this. I don't want them to be empty. And at the rate we're going, that's the way it is. And it's a tough belief. I mean, it's a tough reality. Every year you go out, you see less and less of these animals after you spend so much time. So my goal and my dream is that we, collectively come together and do our part to help our oceans and to help these creatures. And it all starts with changing your perception and changing your belief about our planet and what you can do. That was what was proposed to me. What can you do, Michael? And I was like, I can use my gifts as a photographer to try to help shed some light on our planet and on these animals. Thank you for letting me come and share with you guys today. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your TED Talk.